What up, y'all? Tina here, man. I know it's been a long time since I've made a video on my legal page, but we're about to talk about the diddler. Let's get into it.
Legally locked, truth don't stop. Courtroom drama, we stay on top. Hit subscribe, you know the vibe. Like my page, get ready to ride. Legal cases, law unpacked. Click that play and don't look back. Legally locked, legally locked.
So Diddy is getting ready to get sentenced on Friday for his 2 convictions of the Mann Act. I think Diddy is going to prison, y'all. Yep. I think the judge is going to give him 3 to 5 years, at least 3 as a minimum. Now, Diddy's team wants 14 months. Diddy has already served about 14 months, so essentially he will be released on Friday if the judge decides to side with his team. The Office of Probation, their recommendation is somewhere around 7 years. The prosecution is asking for 11 years. Now, I do think that is excessive, okay? That's a lot. 11 years is crazy. I think the judge is going to fall somewhere in the middle between the Office of Probation's recommendation of 7 years and the time served that Diddy's team is requesting. So that's why I'm leaning towards about 3 to 5 years, because it's kind of like the midpoint. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the judge is going to let Diddy walk out of that courtroom a free man Friday, because as someone who's followed this case, Diddy and his lawyers has been playing on this judge's intelligence since the start of his arrest. First instance, Diddy was supposed to turn himself in like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. The feds picked him up a day early at his hotel, and guess what? His room was filled with freak-off material. So that either means Diddy did not take this case serious at all and wanted to keep doing what he wanted to do, or he thought he was going to turn himself in, get right back out, and go and have him a little freak-off, okay? That's what he thought in his head. Then, once he got locked up, his lawyers lied and said the feds walked into his cell and took a notebook that had attorney-client privilege in it, and it was marked on the notebook like, hey, you can't go into this notebook. The judge asked him, hey, is this true? The attorney had to come out and say, oh, well, I don't know if privilege was written on the notebook or not. I'm not sure. So if you didn't know, why you lied and said it was attorney-client privilege? So that was a big mishap. Then during the trial, he got in trouble because he kept looking at the jury. You ain't really supposed to do that. And just this last week, his lawyers tried to argue that he really wasn't paying for escorts and things of that nature. He was more so a director and a producer for adult content because he was recording these encounters. Now, the judge looked at him like, bro, come on. Diddy's team is essentially saying these freak-offs were actually movie productions, and he's the producer and the director. Problem is, you, as the director, started to engage in these activities at times. So are you a director or are you a participant? Because either way it goes, this is kind of a crime, all right? Not even kind of a crime. This is a crime. You cannot fly escorts out to do business and pay them for it. Now, if this was a legitimate adult content business, it would be handled a different way. There would be contract. There would be different steps you have to go through to create something like this. You can't just wake up one day and say, oh, this isn't breaking the law because I'm an adult filmmaker. This is crazy. Case has been crazy. He is getting 3 to 5 years. It would totally surprise me if he walks out of that courthouse on Friday, because not only have y'all been trying to play on this judge's intelligence, there is an element of violence and a long pattern of this behavior. This isn't just a case of a John and an escort going to do their business at a hotel and the police bust in and catch him. This one-time little thing. This is a case of a man who's been doing this for almost 10 years, probably longer, and through the midst of all this time, committing this crime, because no matter how you feel about it, it's still a crime. You've been committing this crime for over a decade, and there's substantial evidence of violence. That is a big problem. Violence. I said a long time ago, back in December, when they were trying to bail him out, I said his lawyers are so dumb to admit to the violence. They leaned in it so heavy. Now, what I can say is, I think them admitting to the violence helped him get off the RICO charges and the trafficking charges, because they framed this in such a way in the media that this isn't trafficking, this is just domestic violence. So when you hammer that into someone's head over and over and over again, they start thinking, you know what? You're right. This is just domestic violence. Not guilty. This isn't trafficking. This is just a boyfriend and a girlfriend getting into a fight. So they did do a good job painting that this is just a domestic violence case. This isn't trafficking. But in reality, this is a trafficking case, y'all. But I think because it was so blurry, the jury couldn't just find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, because there was some doubt. Because sometimes they consented, sometimes they didn't. But when there's trafficking involved, all it takes is one time to not have no consent and to use force, fraud, or coercion. So he really should have been found guilty. So them consistently saying, hey, this is just violence, this is just violence, I think the judge is going to use that narrative against them. Now, a slew of people have submitted letters saying that Diddy is a changed man. He's helping the prisoners out in jail. He's created this new course, giving them business advice. He needs to be there for his kids. His mom is elderly. A ton of letters that are people writing on his behalf to help persuade the judge to let him come home. On the contrary, the prosecution has submitted letters from victims who feel like he needs to stay in jail. Cassie wrote a very impactful letter saying she doesn't believe that he's learned anything. She doesn't believe that she's safe if he's free. And some of y'all are saying, oh, Cassie got her money, she should just leave it alone. You can't tell nobody when to stop getting their revenge back. 50 Cent and Ja Rule, I know they've been beefing for over 20 years now. It's gotta be 20 years. And they still ain't let up. We're on year 8 of Nicki and Cardi having beef. And ain't neither one of them stopping. So if Cassie wanna keep kicking him the same way he kicked her, let her handle her business, all right? His old assistant, Mia, she said she's still having nightmares from the trauma that he put her through. Then the Chef Jordan, he was violent with her. She's written letters and she's saying she's been traumatized. So this man has scarred people permanently due to his actions. And I think the viciousness of the things that he's done to people during the course of this crime that he's being charged with, I think he has to sit down a little bit more. There's pictures of this man right before a freak off with an escort kicking down 4 to 5 doors to get to Jane and put his hands on her. And then he said, hey man, call an escort. You ain't about to ruin my night. Yeah man, he ain't getting out Friday. Nope, he ain't leaving that courthouse on Friday. I'm telling y'all right now. We're gonna see how this is gonna go. How many years do y'all think Diddy should get? Do you believe he should be able to walk free on Friday so he can take care of his kids and his elderly mom? Or do you think he needs to sit down a little bit longer? Do you think he needs a little bit more rehabilitation? Leave your comments below. Thanks for hanging out with me. Peace.
Cases long pay. Click that play and don't look back. Legally locked, legally locked, legally locked, locked. All rise, all rise, all rise.